Oh, I got it.
Yeah. All the time, State University all the adults and all the backup students, come on in close, all around. Turn out, make sure it's right here. College. Y'all know your vice president for youth college. Everybody, come on around. You get up here close. Come on, this ain't no time to see. Come on. We want all the adults, if you all would come in behind the students, all adults. We need some students over here. Right here. We want to get settled. All students, adults behind. We want the students to have the front. Some of my students need to come up here to the front.
Always like to see Get up in there, Bernard.
Trying to make sure come up with a. He's not a young man. He's a young man. We're trying to welcome Attorney Matt Shirley, who's the NAACP state attorney.
Oh, I get up you guys' way. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right.
We'll make room.
I'm just recording.
Oh, okay.
That's our past president. Always give hands to those who came before. Everybody else can come in now. All our students are in. Everybody else come in. Good morning. Good morning. I am Keith Rivers, the District 12 Director and President of the Pasquotank branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. We are joined here this morning with our State Conference President, Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, our college chapter president of the Elizabeth City State University, Mrs. Andrika Moore, our third vice president of the North Carolina Youth and College Division, William Barber III, our past president of the college chapter, Mr. Montravius King, who has been challenged by this board, and Pete Gilbert, our past president of the Pasquotank County branch, Mr. Raymond Rivers Sr., our state conference attorney, Mr. Al McShirley. The law is clear. Section 11 of the North Carolina General Statute 153-67 and Sim versus United States 1979. It is clear that students have the right to vote and seek office where they attend school. That's right. Pete Gilbert has continuously attempted to challenge this law and intimidate students from voting. That's right. The Board of Elections in Pasquotank County has clearly shown the intent to disenfranchise African American students in this city from their right to vote that was granted by the 15th Amendment to the Constitution. The NAACP will send a letter from Pasquotank County to Pasquotank County Commissioners and the State Board of Election and the governor requesting the removal of these board members who choose to ignore this law.
That's right. That's right.
We want the message to be clear that this will not be tolerated, that students and all citizens have the right to vote. The right to vote has been signed in blood.
That's right.
And if the battle and the war has to begin here in Pasquotank County, then let it begin.
That's right.
Dr. Barber?
Thank you so much, President Rivers, and to our Youth and College Chapter President. Stand with me, my dear sister. We thank God. I want y'all to give her a big hand. This is indeed our Selma. North Carolina has become our Selma. It has become the Edmund Pettus Bridge of the nation in the 21st century. 1964, there was Freedom Summer. We will have Freedom Fall, Freedom Winter, Freedom Spring, and Freedom Summer. Forward together, not one step back. Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Viking pride.
Viking pride.
Viking vote.
Viking vote.
Viking pride.
Viking pride.
Viking vote.
Viking vote.
Keith Rivers said that that's going to be our new mantra. Let's say it. Viking pride.
Viking pride.
Viking vote.
Viking vote.
Viking pride.
Viking pride.
Viking vote.
Viking vote.
And to every college student and college campus across this state, college pride.
College pride.
College vote.
College vote.
Student pride.
Student pride.
Student vote.
Student vote.
Student pride.
Student pride.
Student vote.
Student vote.
Student pride.
Student pride.
Student vote.
Student vote.
Forward together.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Not one step back.
We are here today. 40% of the people in this state that are 18 to 24 years of age are student minorities. 40%. My good friend Keith Rivers and Attorney Al McShirley, our state attorney, who works with Herb Joyner, and all are clear. In the case Sims versus the United States, and it's critical for the media to get this, in 1979, United States Supreme Court affirmed in United States versus Texas that there was an attempt to held unconstitutional the denial of Prairie View students of the presumption of bona fide residence. So the law is already etched in the framework of America. The 14th Amendment that was passed after the ugly history of slavery said all persons, not some, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside, and no state shall enforce any law, y'all say any law,
Any law.
which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state, say any state,
Any state.
that includes North Carolina, deprive any person, say any person,
Any person.
of life, liberty, property without due process of the law, and nor deny any person equal protection under the law. This is about equal protection. The Board of Elections might be closed today, but the Constitution is still open. The 15th Amendment, passed in 1870, 143 years ago, says that the right of citizens, say the right of citizens,
The right of citizens.
of the United States shall not be denied. But then there's another word they use that we have to remember, or abridged. See, deny means you just say you can't vote, but abridge is when you operate in a conspiratorial way to put impediments in the way of people voting, and that is unconstitutional. The right of the citizen of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state, which means any county, any city, any board of election, on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 11 of the North Carolina General Statute says that students have a right to claim their home as their college where they are in residence, and that the state cannot deny this right. Your own paper here has said that the intent of this board and this chairman, Mr. Gilbert, has twisted the current case into an argument that ECSU's residence halls are not valid domicile. But the reality is, he's wrong on the law. He's wrong on history. And he's wrong when it comes to these students having a right to full protection under our Constitution. Now, Mr. Gilbert has said, and I understand he's quoted this, that he's going to take his show on the road. Well, we have a word for him, a word for any politician, any elected person, any appointed person that would attempt to deny our right, abridge our right to vote. This is no show. Mr. Gilbert, evidently you don't know history. Maybe you haven't studied over here in Elizabeth City with some of these good history professors. But there is no show you can take on the road, because this is no show. This is about the substance of the Constitution. No show. This is no game. This is about the right to vote that people died for, that people bled for, that people cried for. And we should be encouraging students to vote, not denying them the right to vote. We ought to be proud of our students. Civic engagement should be a part of our education. We should be lifting up these students who at a young age want to give back to North Carolina and give back to America and give back to this community. Students led in the civil rights movement. They led the voting rights movement. Freedom Summer 1964, students, black, white, brown, Christian, and Jewish, led. Swanner, Cheney, and Goodman died, brutally were killed. Many others died. And so we say to the governor of this state, to the extreme members of the Republican Party of this state, to Mr. Gilbert and any other member or chair of a board of election, we don't intend to allow this board of election to trample through the blood of the martyrs. You haven't seen a fight until you try to take our voting rights. You haven't seen a fight until you try to undermine our students' abilities to right to vote. You haven't seen a fight, I'm old enough to say this now, until you try to stop my children from being able to vote. You haven't seen a battle. Because this is one we will fight and we will win. And so how are we going to do this? Number one, we commit this morning all across this state. We've got youth and college chapters on almost every campus. In the North Carolina Youth and College Division, along with the North Carolina NAACP, we are committing to bring our lawyers, Al McShirley, Earl Joyner, Jamie Phillips, and our partner, the Advancement Project, which is a nationally renowned civil rights firm. We're going to bring them to this fight. We're bringing the best legal counsel in this country to stand with these students and fight. But not only will we fight in the court, we're going to mobilize. And so number two, we are planning a tour across this state on college campuses across the state. When I was president of North Carolina Central University Student Government Association, we had an organization called Black College Day. And we used to rally where we're going to revive the rallying of college students across this state and mobilizing them. And this will be led by students, but they will know that they have the back of the adults. Number 3, on August the 28th, one of them right here in Elizabeth City, we are having 13 simultaneous Bring the Dream Home rallies across the state of North Carolina. And we are going to feature this attack on students and student voices at those rallies. Number 4, we are going to be having this very week a major conference call with students to talk about beginning of organizing a march on the governor's mansion. The governor ought to stand up and say, stop this foolishness.
Right.
The governor appoints the head of the Board of Election. The governor should know what the Constitution says, and he should not be allowing this out-of-control legislature, these out-of-control Board of Elections to mar the history of voting in this state. And we plan to organize students and others to march on the governor's mansion. Number 5, we are planning to organize a group of students to go to D.C. and ask for a meeting with Eric Holder and the Department of Justice, because the law must be enforced, and these boards of elections must know that they are not above the law. Now I must close here. My father went to school right here, 1946-47. Elizabeth City State University was a 2-year school. Dr. Trigg was the president here before he became the president of St. Augustine University. My father was drafted into the Navy from here, Keith. My father came here, students, when you had to milk cows in the morning and work on the farm in order to pay your tuition. My father was here, Brother Rivers, when this school was the only hope in the East that minority students had for an education beyond normal school. It was put way out here in the East, some say to isolate. But we always knew of Elizabeth City as the great star of the East.
That's right.
In the northeast, in masonry, in the north, when you put in the northeast corner, you put there so you can be worked on, prepared,
Come on now.
and shaped up,
Watch out.
Shape it up.
so that when you come out of the northeast corner, you can be a stone that the builders can no longer reject.
That's right.
So down here in the northeast corner, we've always believed that this was the place where students were being prepared for the fight. Alex Haley's daddy,
That's right. That's right.
the one who was the father of the one who wrote the book's Roots,
That's right. Right here.
taught on this campus.
That's right.
So for me, this is not political, this is personal. To mess with these students is to mess with our history. The history of people in rural North Carolina who've always had to fight against the odds, come up against hard times, but have always believed in the promises of America. And so these attacks on Elizabeth City State, but they're also attacking Appalachian State. We got a report about Winston-Salem State. We see this as a vulgar attempt, a conspiracy that traces all the way to the omnibus bill passed by this legislature, a coordinated conspiracy. When Senator Apodaca said that after the ruling by the Supreme Court, that now the headache was out of the way and they unleashed all of this regressive voter suppression. One of your own legislators was part of that. What's his name? Senator Cook.
Steinberg.
Check their votes. Check their votes. Check their votes. Check their votes on this voter suppression. But I stand here today finally to say they are trying to suppress the vote, and they're trying to spread it like an anti-democratic cancer. But we are the surgeons, and we will surgically remove it with the power of the Constitution and our moral protest, so that America, so that North Carolina will be healthy, a healthy democracy where everybody's rights are protected. So it is. And then we want to hear from our powerful students.
I'm Alvin Shirley. I'm a civil rights lawyer in Chapel Hill. And as Reverend Barber said, I work closely with the leadership of the NAACP. And Raymond, it's so good to see you and your lovely wife and your family. I'm glad to be back in Elizabeth City. I just have 2 points I want to make. The first is the attack by the 2 Republicans on the Pasquotank County Board of Elections on this young man behind me, Mr. King. That will be dealt with. He has good lawyers, as both speakers have pointed out. The Prairie View, we call it the Prairie View case from Texas, 1979. Think of that year. What that means is these college students after the 60s and 70s were beginning to get politicized, beginning to make some noise down in Texas, almost as bad as North Carolina at that time. Some of the same Republicans tried to stop kids from voting